you have violated your oath of office and have committed high treason.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very, very curious as to what is going to take place tomorrow night. And
and how the amends are going to be made.
That if the information I received is 100% correct, then we're in for a shock. I've also heard that it could be, the money may be a paperless society, and you will be issued a card.
Well, and that's the one thing that we're trying to not allow that to happen, because I don't want to see that happen, because then that way you cannot regulate your own person, you're not a person, but your own services, and then you have a government structure that what, why, and how to spend your money where. We don't want that.
That's basically it, Ed. Where are our rights to...
That's our right to stand up because we own the banks in the 192 Bankruptcy Act. That's part of what I just filed on the City of Ontario.
That's what I just got through asking Trump in this email. What are we going to have? Another HJR 192, which you guys never told us about?
Well, and how come you're not even informing us to even enact it today?
Right.
There's some things in the past we cannot change, but there's stuff that we can do today that makes the future work for the children.
Correct.
Without the children having that work for them, there is no future for even his own family. There ain't no kingdom or religion that has the claim of it as some lady in England that's not even the queen anyways. They're fake bloodline.
So I would like to now, Ed, open this up to our listening. If anybody's let them come on, and let's take a few questions right now.
Q&A session has started.
Yeah, I'd like to get one of the ladies come in and the way she did her manufacturer state of origin.
So we do question and Q&A session, or are we continue?
Open it up to whoever wants.
I don't think it'll take real long to do this. If everybody has any questions, let's go ahead and field these, and then we'll turn it over to you and your guest.
All right. In order to ask a question, you guys need to put *61, and that'll put you in the queue. And remember, keep the questions direct to the point. Please do not take too long because there will be others behind you waiting.
One thing is I did invite some people on the show to explain some things of what they've accomplished. And so we want to open it up to that first before we get to Q&A questions on the other side, because hopefully they joined us, because I like them to bring that forward of what they have successfully done first, and this is how we're able to make sure that others are following the same path of comprehending how to protect your bloodline. So
you want to do a Q&A session later then?
Second.
Right, whoever wants to start speaking, go ahead.
We'll get the guest on first, then we'll do the Q&A.
Okay, I'll get it down to...
All participants are unmuted. Q&A session is over.
Anybody speak?
Okay. To mute yourself, it is *6. If there's any individuals out there that is listening to this call that Ed had invited, please speak up.
Karen or the others. I know spoke up, but anyhow, is there anybody out there that would like to speak then?
Yeah, this is Karen.
Oh, there you go, Karen. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, this is in regards to the certificate of origin for a motor vehicle, or automobile. I've had, Ed wanted me to talk about how I obtained mine. And a lot of people have been trying to get it by going through the motor vehicles department, and they don't have it because what they've done is when they received it, they microfilmed it, scanned it in, and then they destroyed it. So they don't have it. And even if they didn't have it, they wouldn't give it to you. So what I did is I went directly to the manufacturer. Mine was a Dodge, so the company name FCA LLC owns Chrysler Dodge. And I contacted them, and I requested the certificate of origin for my vehicle. Now, I had a rough start with them. First, they tried to tell me, well, you need to go through motor vehicles to get a duplicate, and I told them I'm not looking for a certificate of title. I'm looking for a certificate of origin for my vehicle. So the thing is, what I found out is when you're trying to do this, if you're not getting your the right response from the people you talk to, end the call and then call back, you will probably get somebody else. If that doesn't work, information I've come across, you ask to speak to a title clerk, or you ask to speak to someone in the compliance department. I didn't have to go that far, but that's what I've been told by other people that have done it. And anyway, so what they did is they, after I gave them the information, it's funny, they had my street address and I didn't give it to them. So they're keeping records somewhere. And so what they did is they escalated my case, and I got an email from someone in the that department that deals with the certificate of origins, and they emailed me application and an affidavit for a replacement. And I mean, you don't lie on them, because you fill them out, you put the information in there, and it's been destroyed is what's happened. The state did it. And after you've filled out the affidavit and have it notarized, to me, they told me to either fax it or email it to them. So I faxed it to them. And from there, then I got the certificate. And
so basically, you got the birth certificate of your car.
Right. Birth certificate of my car.
And so now you're able to claim ownership of, basically, if you go deep in that, that's claiming ownership of your bloodline.
Right. Pretty much.
And so, folks, this is what we're talking about. Like when Dave, when he's traveling and you're doing this stuff, it's knowing, and the main thing is know how to present yourself and talk to your public servants. There's a wonderful video on YouTube that says don't talk to cops, and these are two cops and a professor really going through the structure compared to like Greg and everything else. People got some good videos up. But it's like what this young lady has done. She successfully claimed her wagon, so that way, if she's to follow through with the other structure to the Secretary of State, DMV, she doesn't need insurance. She doesn't need all that stuff, because now she has the birth record of the child. The state does not have it. So is that basically what you're sort of comprehending out of it?
Pretty much. The allodial title.
Right, allodial title. So that's the whole point here. And you don't want to use something, anything with citizen or national on your structure. Because national and citizen is under Executive Order 2040, and if you claim one of those, you're a British subject. So when you're claiming your covered wagon, you're claiming it as a lawful bloodline American, and you're not taking what they would call a title of nobility. That's part of the Fourth Amendment. Go ahead. Are you comprehending some of that when I'm going in that direction?
Absolutely.
So if you have something to add on it, please go ahead.
I don't really have anything to add. I just need to finish off what I'm doing with it.
Okay.
And claiming that, and then we'd like to get you back once you got the final on it, because I'm doing something similar on mine. And like I said, now I've got the taxes, because I'm filing on Cape Brown, and they realized my other filing I did went public through the sheriff's department and stuff. They realized I'm telling the truth. They went after me. I just what was the thing, Dave? They wrote it. We're just honoring their own words of what they have to go by. Well, actually, we came up with a slang, and I haven't been I forgot it. Do you remember that?
Wrote it. What's the other word?
Yeah, but I said it several times, but I didn't write it down, so I can sit there and go, Don, I know I'll say it again. Next time it pops in my head, I'll write it down.
Think about it midnight tonight. It'll pop in my head.
Yeah, things like that happen. We just quote wrote. So, do their own facts.
Yeah, Ed, you said the executive order what?
Oh, that was 2040 on the birth certificates. Now, I don't know the structure I sent to you on the 1868 structure dealing with the 14th Amendment, how it applied. Because there was a question I would have somebody ask me to prove the lawful rights versus citizenship. And so I did get that out, and that was put up on the wall today. And if we haven't got that one out, folks, we'll get that up so you can see some of these questions people have asked me. And it says, like, prove what you're saying to me. And people keep going, well, what's the lawful bloodline American? We're putting the structure up. And if you don't claim your ownership of your covered wagon, and this is the other point that people are starting to get, when you file your structure on your children, you're claiming ownership of your bloodline, all right? And if you have respect for your man and the woman has a woman, you write out that the man has a say, because when a woman is going through emotional trauma and shock of especially a birth, or if a man is going through an issue that he's going through, you men and women are supposed to be honoring each other. And if you want to go to the other side, where I just have a problem with some of that, but if you're one of those cross genders or whatever, then you write a contract between yourselves and stay out of the system. Because if you write a contract, the courts have to go by the contract. They can't rape and rob you for a percentage. They already get paid in their salaries. It already says that. And we got the paperwork that I put up on the walls that says, and then you go back in, and so it's you against the other man or woman or whatever it, and so you have to prove your case on what your merits are. And if you go by a public pretender or any of that crap, that means they have to represent your charter. That means whatever you wrote in your charter, your contract that you own you, or you have a contract between you and your partner, or whatever you want to call it. We are at that phase, and we start doing this, we start protecting each other, and our public servants are paying attention. Some of your people are seeing changes. Would that be fair to say?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and Dave and I are seeing changes. And I see changes when and I've heard other stories when people have been pulled over. I watch some of these horror tapes that I see sometimes on YouTube where these cops go off. As far as I'm concerned, and the men and women that I watch around the street corners and watching these people get beat up by them, I pray for their souls, because how come they're not filing the charges on those cops and they're witnessing an assault on a man or woman? Oh, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, Pink Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter, toilet paper color lives matter. Oh, we go white. Oh, sorry. Okay. The point is that if you're not standing up for one another on the crime, what the hell do you expect? You're endorsing the crime. And then you want people to have compassion and for you when you're through problems? Wake up.
Ed,
go ahead.
Was she finished with her documentation on how she got this back?
Yeah, it was pretty simple.
Yeah, but actually I'd like to shut up and let you explain it one more time.
Okay, I contacted FCA LLC. They own Chrysler Dodge. And I requested a duplicate of the certificate of origin. And what they had done is they escalated my case, and I got an email, and they sent me an application and an affidavit. I filled it out, notarized it, and faxed it back to them. And overall, because I began this on May 5th, and by June 5th, and that was it getting lost in the mail once, I got it on June 5th. So it was fairly simple.
So that's the whole point. A lot of stuff is simple. Like when you go to Gov Forms or you're filing a complaint on an attorney, you file it by their paperwork. You use their paperwork, their structure. But when you do this, always write the criminal charges into it. Because if you write the criminal charges, they're just want to get away from you like crazy. So you put the criminal charges in it, they'll fly through pretty quick too. You know, and that means you're not going after them personally. You just, you know, people have read my instruments or the way me and Dave put things together, because we use their structure, you know, for themselves or against themselves. We're using their structure for that.
Right.
You know, they wrote it, we quote it. That's what it was.
Court actually, on every certificate of title can be charged with identity theft.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Conversion.
Yeah, that was the point that we were coming up. They wrote it, we quote it.
There you go. That's the word. They wrote it, we quote it.
You know, and that's the whole point. So when we start standing up together, and it's like what this young lady has done over in her territory, who brought the structure up. Now the other point is that when she writes a thank you letter to these men and women involved, and then when one of you writes a letter to them, you get the same correctness handled. You write them a letter of apology. Oh my God, now we got people working each other and we're saving our country because now we're taking pride back in America.
Correct.
Exactly. It's not based on commercial, it's based on pride again.
Well, the thing that gets me at about all this stuff, first of all, the corporation can only regulate that which they create.
Mm-hmm.
How can they say they regulate the automobile when they never, horse-drawn covered wagon? How can they say that they created it?
Well, I think what they're doing is because everything's been paid for with Federal Reserve notes, and we're not supposed to be using it.
Well, not only that, if you go by the structure of the Federal Reserve notes, the lawful Americans never went in debt. The British government went to us, so we're not supposed to be paying our water, electricity, and basic bills. That's why 192 was put in place, Public Law 7310.
And Public Law 10, Chapter 48 Stat 112.
Mm-hmm. See, they wrote it, we quote it. I knew I was going to get it back on track, but see, this is the point when we do this stuff in this way, when we start doing this, so when you start owning land, it's not going out and buying land to resell it. It's owning it to pass it down so your bloodline has something. Okay? Because, I mean, you know, everybody knows about the BLM where you used to get 40 acres and a mule. And everybody goes, well, we should still have those rights. Well, when they start allowing immigration coming in this country, especially in the 70s, William Jefferson Clinton was the one who signed that reject number letter for BLM to stop it. That was done by William Jefferson Clinton. Read the history. So you can still file on your land, but that means you have to build on it and stay there, you know. And then we got the so-called public pretenders out there telling everybody, if you don't leave this area, we're going to shoot you on sight. The Fundys, when they were kidnapped out there, that land was actually signed over to the state of Oregon in 2006. And after Dennis Richardson was elected, he came out and said that the public land was going to stay in Oregon's resources, and that's part of that structure where they were kidnapped at. It was going to stay in their structure because in 2006, the Oregon State House had passed administrative rule through the federal government to take that land. You guys weren't there. I was. So you think that you can prove me wrong, try to prove me wrong, but I was there. I was there when the Department of Oregon State Transportation admitted that they lost $500 million. Then go on to Ed Johnston and Senator Roblin's video. I got Senator Roblin admitting that the uninsured motorist fund, where'd the $1 billion go? Well, Ed, this is in his own office. Well, Ed, you know it was spent. We can track the money down, folks. It's called the Coffer Report. Walter Bruin has done a wonderful job exposing this to people. far more than anybody else. I've met Walter a few times over the years. I support his work. When he sat there, I had a concept because I was doing some of that myself at the time. In 2005, I was supposed to get the commercial commerce books going back to 1846, and Peter Courtney stopped that. So, no, I mean, like I said, I was up there, and I've been around this stuff, but the point being is that we've got it in place now. All right, we have perfect examples. Karen brought out a wonderful point. So, and what she has, when she thanks the company, because these men and women did their job, and then once they comprehend, because she could send them a letter going, hey, thank you for doing this, here's why it works. On driver's license and the structure in no state, but you don't need a driver's license and stuff. They get that, they're going, well, shit, we helped them out, now we're realizing how we can protect our own. See, we start spreading the seed in this manner because we know that Trump is the president of a fictitious corporation. He knows it. All he knows is business. Okay? But remember, profits are supposed to come back to we the people. They cannot take public land. You know, and it's like the natives over there with the oil companies, and I've been after them going, well, how come you ain't filing criminal charges? Oh, Trump is doing this. Trump ain't doing anything, but the tribe doesn't want them to do it. The members can whine and cry, but the chiefs are directly involved in taking the resources in. All they have to do in their own court is go after them, file treason charges on them for trespassing. Trust me, I guarantee you, the chiefs and the members, including the tribal casino members of the corporation, personally know this. The money means more than the oil and the food, and you know the people in their own tribe, you know, accept this because they're going, well, we get to go to the casino, we get this money. Well, you could have money, but if there's no food and you can't eat paper. You know, so anyhow, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there. Dave, go ahead. Or anybody else.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Ed, because it was one thing I noticed as I was traveling through the West, that we would come around the mountain or over the hill or whatever, and you would see off in the distance this dilapidated old trailer with the windows broken and the doors falling off. But then go a little bit further, and here's this really nice house. And this is all Indian reservation. So it makes me kind of wonder what kind of scam some people think they're going to get by with when they put the evidence right in front of your face. So the staged event is, oh, we're living in terrible conditions, the doors are falling off, and we need money, and money for heat, and all this stuff. Well, the house that's not too far away looks pretty doggone good to me. So I'm wondering, you know, isn't that exploitation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just gave me second thoughts about some people who claim that the Indians are really bad off. If they're getting all this money from these gambling casinos and they're living in pretty decent homes, something ain't right.
No, I agree with you there. I'm reading this article I see that somebody put up here on the Facebook where we know the California drought was definitely over, and they're saying they drained 1 trillion gallons from the woods and the mountains to the ocean. And it's like, people, this is where it comes to me, where intelligence, you people, intelligence here. Okay, we know that this man's elected and public servant. He drained 1 trillion gallons, so in other words, he's costing people their lives, he's costing animals their lives, he's costing the fish population their lives, he's costing the state of California their lives, he's costing the farmers their food and their income, and your right to grow your food. This man needs to be having charges filed on him. If we start filing charges on these people, like I got on Cape Brown, and I got to get the other part done, people go, well, Ed, and I sit there and go, you know, for a few days, literally, folks, I was down. I didn't know if I was going to go in the hospital. I'm sucking air and trying to do my analyzation breathing machines and stuff because I'm suffocating. It's real. They poisoned me in the hospital. They tried to kill me more than once. So everybody goes, well, yeah, I know about the Coopers. I know about a whole bunch of these guys. I know about the Montana guys. You know, a lot of these guys, I've even had personal conversations with them. Okay, but see, they wrote it. We quote it. So we're not going out and creating anything different. They wrote the kidnapping structure. So when they do it to you, you go back after them. When they steal your car, that's called grand theft auto for personal financial gain. That's using a public office for personal gain. That's a federal crime and a state crime.
Right.
That's where you know, I'm writing this stuff on Cape Brown. I've already got part of it filed. It's already public. I just filed this one paperwork that hopefully we'll have on the site because I did this in a city, Ontario, Oregon, that I even wrote the structure in the state of Oregon with the administrative rules says you don't need a driver's license, insurance, license plates. This is the ORS 446.003.33. You know, I mean, this is what I'm quoting you. I'm quoting the structure, what it says. We know the federal government says this, and people go, oh, I go to court and I just pay it. You know, I post laws up all the time, administrative rules about the attorneys and the structure coming from England and stuff, and how to fight it. You know, and all these guys want to go to court and they hire attorneys and they're paying all these lawyer fees. Well, isn't it interesting how they've been there for a year and a half, and, you know, they've won 2 cases already and they're still in jail? Still paying lawyers? How come their family hasn't filed the criminal charges on the lawyers and the public servants for kidnapping, stealing their bloodline, held them for hostage because there's no injured party? They're on public land. We, the people, own it.
Right.
Any intelligence? You know, I went off on people's Facebook sites here in the last couple of weeks because I know what I'm dealing with medically. This ain't a joke. You can pray to whatever you want, but I deal with reality. Okay, but when I watch people out there and the way I'm taking it, how they're out for personal gain, instead of telling people, this is how you do it, this is how you file it, they could be out there, instead of doing a lot of this stuff, they're out there trying to raise money. How come they're not reading these quotes of the law out there? How come they're not reading what other people have filed and what they proved on YouTube channels that worked? And all they're doing is putting up these little amusement parks and charging you for amusement. Sort of reminds me of the old carnivals. Does that make sense, Dave?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
You know, I mean, this is the one thing I want to bring to you guys' attention. Well, hey, Dave, I would like you probably to do this. Do you have in front of you, you know, everybody keeps saying there's no such thing as term limits?
Yeah, it's things forbidden to Congress and things forbidden to the state. It not only deals with the title of nobility, it deals with the term of office. And if you look under the qualifications for senators or congressmen or president, the term limit is established in the Constitution. So why are we having the same people in public office year after year after year after year? There was nothing ever established in the Constitution whereby our public and elected officials could make this a career.
But Dave, you forgot one valuable part. It's basically the same family bloodline year after year after year.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
You know, here's a perfect structure. 1604, English court. Remember, United States, we the people really never even knew what a court was until after the Civil War. Oh, they tell you, that's real history. That's like Christmas didn't start until 1841 when Macy's department store in downtown London made up Christmas. That's all in the history books. It was for sales.
Sure.
You know, and then they bring this stuff to this country, you know, and their ways of belief, and then they're telling us that we have to pay the privilege to hunt and fish, to travel and all this. Now, I do agree with one thing with David, because years ago I used to have an umbrella travel insurance policy. Well, actually, it was my bodyguard and travel insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a perfect record when I was growing up, and that was, or well, not record per se. I mean, my word was good, and I had a reputation. Back then, you know, 30, 40 years ago, they went by reputation. It wasn't a computer system.
Right.
You know, but the point being is that we get back to it. I do not disagree with having basically, you know, an umbrella package, but the thing that bothers me is I'm disabled. I don't have the income, the resources, because the Elected and Public Employees Union took the money, because with my broken neck, when I got my neck broken literally on the job, I should have got a $2.2 or $2.8 million settlement in cash, because those were the court cases that were always won, and I was supposed to go on my way. Then a Democratic Party, the West Coast, and Nancy Pelosi and Feinstein came out and says, well, these people who got a lump settlement, they ended up spending their money and they ended up on welfare. Sorry, you blew it. Not the people's problem, but welfare is not a handout. Welfare is for lawful Americans, not immigration. I think that's part of the Bankruptcy Act. It even says something to that, and I've got that even posted on the Facebook wall with the actual years and numbers in it.
Everything is for the bloodline American.
I can barely hear you, Dave.
I said everything is for the bloodline American.
Right. You know, immigration people, you have to earn your rights. That's why you pay your taxes. Then when you become fifth generation, now you have rights, not privileges. The structure is the forefathers of this country wrote it to protect our bloodline, lawful and legal. You want to go with that devil's Bible invading this country, so, you know, what are you going to eat? The food is dying all around the world. Wake up. How many of you are actually planting food to protect you and your children? Some are really doing it. Some ain't. So, I mean, you know, everybody, I'm not trying to cry doomsday or anything in the name of the end of any craziness, but it's not crazy to be prepared in this way when those people who have the preparing structure, you help a neighbor that has something to offer. That's called barter. You survive. So, anybody else would like to add anything? The floor is open.
I don't know, Ed. They're kind of quiet tonight.
It is kind of quiet here, but, you know, it's like the one thing I've been putting up with the debtor's court, you know, with the judges are saying that the government has the funding. Oh, no, it's probably quiet because I went off with Galveston and some of these men and women, you know, and, you know, they're sitting out there asking us. Here we go. 1868, there was a corporation founded in a particular company. The founders of the company called the United States Corporation. This is 1868. And then people are saying, oh, the corporation started back in 1774 was the first corporation.
Yeah, wrong answer.
I know, it is the wrong answer. You guys don't get what that is. This didn't happen to corporation until 1868. Quit going along with these so dumb attorneys that are trying to convince you that the king owned his land. The king never owned the land. Even today, I've paid for it to run on the East Coast to the West Coast with the Queen of England's stamp on the constitutional rights of freedom in this country, and it cost me thousands of dollars out of my own pocket to run it from the East to West Coast. You proved me wrong.
I agree with
That's why they stole my money out of my house. That's why they tried to murder me. You know, I used to do a lot of traveling. But when you get told you go out because people are listening to you and are believing that you're telling the truth, they don't want people to know the truth. But see, you cannot be afraid. I'm not going to let them beat the shit out of me. I sit here with Smith & Wesson, and they know it. I even filed it with the police chief. I filed it with the governor herself. So, but the thing is that was one of the bills they had up at the Oregon State Senate floor this year, for the state police to do a background check on everybody instead of just basically what do they call the ATF. Because my deal was I was going through the state police. Most of you guys know me. People know me in the community. Do I come across, oh, this is what the law says? I said, that's administrative rules. So if the state police had it in their rights over ATF, and they could verify by the community people says, hey, we're willing to take a chance on this guy or this lady having an arm, something happens, we'll even be the first ones on, oh shit, the witness list. We'll be responsible. You thinking about this, folks? You want responsibility, that's being responsible in your community, standing up. I live in a community that's like Nazi Germany. You know, oh, we report everything we see. Yeah, I was interested that I was surprised that all of a sudden, you know, after the talk show started, I mean, I got the cops driving around the block and one sitting up in the corner now. So, but I'm not going to sit there and go through any of this shit because all they're doing for some reason, from the phone call I got this morning, and people are paying attention. Because I'll be damned, I'm not living in fear, and they know that. The instruments are filed.
They try to intimidate you, Ed.
No, I got that, but they can't do it anymore. Say, it's mind over matter. If it minds, it matters, and if it don't mind, it don't matter. They wrote it, we quote it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, so we've got it out there. I put the stuff in. I got the affidavit out there for a lady that's had her children kidnapped from her. All right, she's got some things that she has to start proving to herself first. You know, she still goes through her moments like any other woman does or any other man does. But it's getting to the point to have the faith and security in yourself again. Sometimes it takes a little bit when you've been knocked on the ground a few times. You know, these are things we don't look at sometimes, or what somebody else is going through, how to help or react to it. You know, just the little things that make you go,
Well, I got a call from a lady yesterday afternoon who told me that she had filed a criminal complaint against the Food and Drug Administration for improperly labeling sugar content on food.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's funny because I've done that too.
Mm-hmm.
So we now have, I know of 2 people who have filed a criminal complaint against Food and Drug for improper labeling food items relating to sugar content, which is an attempted murder.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your body can only take in so much sugar a day.
Don't forget this diabetes poisoning children.
Wait until I am done. So if the sugar content is improperly labeled on the product, that is attempted murder. People need to comprehend the fact that it is very small amounts of sugar that should be in any food product to prevent diabetes. And diabetes is a known killer. It will force you to cut your feet off, your arms off, your legs off, wherever it hits you. Wake up, people. Pay attention to the sugar levels in your products you are buying. Because when you get older, you're going to get sugar diabetes, and you're going to wonder, well, what happened? I only drank 46 grams of sugar in that pop. And some of them are higher than that. And these super drinks that they have now, you're talking 53 grams or better in one drink. So pay attention and prevent it. You got to start now, because if you don't start now, if you're younger than I am, I'm 72, so you need to start long before now.
If I may.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I've been cut off several times tonight here. I've dropped the call. Edward, I believe you mentioned you helped a lady with an affidavit. Her children were kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Angie Hansen. I'm the one in Colorado who...
I know, we a couple times before in the past, yep.
Yes. And I started my federal case in that, and it's just at a standstill, and I'm wondering what more I can be doing besides nothing. My daughter has been held hostage from me for 2 years here this September, and she was actually taken in 2012 was the start of all of this.
Right, but with her father too, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the point being is coming to a compromise here, and I don't know what her age is at this point. There are ways of doing things, because that's one thing that we were discussing prior, 7 months ago. And then you said you were going to get back a hold of me when you started this process with the federal court, and I'm glad you're speaking up tonight. That's been, 8 months now. Okay, but see, the other point is putting out the whole case, knowing where the structure is, knowing what, why, and how the other decisions were, how he was able to keep the basic property over you as longer than what possibly should have been, I would say, claimed liability on. If that makes sense, if you see my wording here.
Okay, well, the judge won't let me in court. Whatever the X says goes.
Not
period.
do that. See, that's the point.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was having trouble hearing you.
You don't ask the judge. You file on the judge. You file on the clerk herself or himself. If they don't do their job, you file on them to go to prison. Remember, you cannot talk to the devil.
Right.
These men and women, they're the devil people. Just like the Bible structure. You go to a church and you ask them, and they say, "Oh, pray." Okay, you cannot go ask for prayer because you have to have actions for it to happen. Does that make sense?
Where do I file?
Okay, that's the now we're getting somewhere. Okay, that is the point, and that's filing the complaint that when you file the criminal charges on the people involved, okay, you didn't get your response on the affidavit. Then if you filed it with the county clerk, then now it's time to file the county clerk for an affidavit that if she doesn't produce the record that was date stamped or whatever, now she could go to prison, and here's the law that says that. Are you following where I'm going with this?
I'm sure trying.
Okay, but see, you have to file the charges on these men and women. Now, we have put up the court cases. Most of the court cases pretty much are self-explanatory. You just take your name out of it, and then you take whatever out of it, and you put your name in it, and you put it to your case. You know your case, if that makes sense?
Right.
Hey, did you ever write stories or stuff like that in school?
Yes.
So it's not writing a story. In other words, you're putting an affidavit of fact, and so now you're putting something together as liability, because like in school they used to say, well, write a story, make it up like a fiction, and see, that was my problem. I couldn't do that stuff in school because if it wasn't real, I couldn't let my imagination go for some crazy reason like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the way I write my affidavits and stuff, so we have the paperwork so you can file on the clerk. Now, in your state, I have not actually finished the template on that for your Durant in your state. I've already written it up for 4 other states. That's publicized on our Facebook, and that's shortly, hopefully, will be on our sites. Okay? But the thing is that it would be very helpful. We could, once you get that, you do this part of the research. You give me your state Durant notary template. that I could put on the affidavit. I could put a couple of the codes for that state into it. I can send it back, and in that way you're liable for your own actions. But this way you have a template that says if the clerk doesn't file the paperwork, now you own her home. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, she refuses to file even though...
So you file this, she's not going to want to give up her home, because when you file this paperwork in Washington, D.C., she's got the United States Marshals arresting her for federal fraud of a paycheck.
Okay, and you have these state jurat templates?
These things are going through, yes. I just served a city over in Eastern Oregon on somebody's case because they kidnapped and assaulted a lady, basically raped her for financial gain. So I filed the actual Oregon state law. It says that Oregon state law says you don't need a driver's license, administrative rules, registration. I'm quoting the law itself.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a case that we're putting together a template in California, Alaska, Arizona, and Washington right now. I'm trying to get all this stuff done, as well as getting the criminal complaint on Cape Brown filed.
What do I need to do to get this state jurat notary template that you mentioned?
If you send me the jurat template that I just have to cut and paste into the paperwork, so that way you can take it to a notary. Do you comprehend what I mean by that?
Is that the one that I know Michael School gave me a jurat before?
Ever done a template or even done something with a notary of your state in it?
Oh, I'd have to think on that because my case is actually North Dakota, but I'm in Colorado.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I know you're in Colorado compared to the other state because you've done that. Now, you can technically put 2 on it because if you still have what they would call a residence of both states, there is no law that says you cannot be from 2 territories and claim where you hang your hat.
Okay.
Okay, but that has to be put in the statement of the writing.
Okay.
You know, this is where a lot of people don't, because sometimes, and you don't get me wrong, I know sometimes it can come across monotonous. And I do this for people, and I've even done it sometimes. Why would I want to write this? Why would I want to do that? That's an overkill. Or maybe I'm putting something I'm missing. I mean, let me tell you, me and Dave have had many conversations over the years on that one.
Mm-hmm. What do I need to write and provide? And because, like I said, I've done a constitutional criminal complaint and hand-delivered that. And I did argue with her at one point and got she stamped it received, and she said she would not stamp it more than that. And to me, she received it. It was, noted as such. I actually have an audio recording of her admitting she would not do her job, and she did stamp received. To me, that's, filed in their office.
It is filed in her office, and if you actually got an audio tape on that, you could hold her liable. Dave, did you have something you want to add to that? Because I'll give you the floor here for a bit.
No, actually, you're pretty well covering what we did.
Okay.
And I think she has to be persistent in what she's doing, or they'll take advantage of her.
That's true, because I'm dealing with that one right now with the House and Senate. Because they're panicking on me because I've filed. I filed on Good Friday, and then they sent me paperwork says that we cannot accept your filing until July 17th. Well, Tuesday or Wednesday the 14th, this other group wants to file a recall, and there's 2 other ones that want to file a recall on Kate. So, and it just concerns me, because the other 2 recall people, they have nothing to lose or gain from it. Do you comprehend where I'm coming from with that thought?
What, me?
Yeah.
Well, you said that they have nothing else to lose or gain, but they filed.
No, they have everything to gain, or they have nothing to lose because they're waiting for me to die.
Oh.
Because I'm the one that's brought this all out through the FBI's. I'm the one who wrote all the case for the marshals to arrest them. I'm the one who approved the federal and state law that says if I didn't produce the evidence, now I can file in the Superior Court, and they have to form a jury of my peers, and by law, I have to pick the jury out. The DA can't have nothing in the hand selection of the jury.
Mm.
See, this is federal law. This is how the court really works. They don't want people to comprehend the real structure. You know, like I said, we are a Republican form of public servants. We have public servants.
Right.
Right? Until we start claiming that we own our servants, we own our bodies, we own our land, and we have to respect those men and women who actually honor their oath of servitude.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because we want them to honor we, the people, and our children. You know, come on. I mean, and then all of a sudden, if a kid goes out and has one too many to drink and everybody's attacking the kid because the kid does something stupid, how many of us did something stupid and we're glad that we didn't get our ass thrown in jail or, you know, be tagged as whatever? But the point comes down, it has to be respect and honor. It cannot be that I just got away from it because mommy and daddy are rich. Bullshit. If you don't earn your right and your respect on it, if the people buy that stuff, that's ridiculous. You know, so it is coming back to honor. We are seeing the changes.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering is, like, where do I start? What are the steps in mind? What can I be doing? Because I've been researching, I've been studying, and I just don't know, like, there's a lot out there, and what should I be doing? Because I did start a federal case. In Colorado argued and said, "Oh, we don't want it. It's not us. We don't have jurisdiction."
They're trying to get rid of it because they're a liable party.
Yeah, so they didn't want it, and I went round and round.
Right, but see, you have to put that they are right. They cannot have jurisdiction. They cannot be part of that because you have to make sure it goes to the federal court system, basically in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. District courts cannot hear these matters.
Okay, well, I ended up having to file in North Dakota there, and they did the service of process. They handled serving everybody. Since that time, nothing has happened at all.
You know why?
Probably 'cause I don't know what to do next. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly the point. You got to a point where you didn't know the next step, and they're waiting on you to tell them what to do. Because you're the moving party in this circumstance.
Right.
Oh, so you do comprehend it. You just don't know, oh, shit, I got to this point and I didn't think about it that far.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I guess I just...
Okay.
Me
and Dave are doing the same thing. We're all doing this piece by piece. That's why we're working each other. We're going through these things.
Okay.
We learn from each other, honey.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying. And so I kind of followed somebody else's template, and basically my paperwork says to recuse those bad guys that thought that they could do what they've been doing, and even appeals court, the Court of Appeals in North Dakota is the Supreme Court. There's only two levels. There's your district, and then the Supreme Court is the Court of Appeals. So I even named those 5 judges in my paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I need to file something.
Did you hear one thing I said? What is the other court system that you need to file outside of those states?
Outside of, you said the D.C. court.
Washington, D.C. of the federal British government, because that's part of the American Bar Association, where the federal judge of the United States has supervising authority over all administrative courts. And the other lawful court is in Philadelphia. Those are the only two. When you go, and you cannot go in the municipality court and fight them, because that's like going in and saying, I'm a sovereign citizen, I have rights, but then I want to be a citizen.
Mm-hmm. So this court you mentioned, this is that H. Carl Moultrie Courthouse?
Hang on.
Right.
Or am I
Sounds
wrong?
good.
Go to the computer. Let me pull up a screen here.
How do you go about starting a case there, or what is the proper...
Right, but see, have you implicated, and I mean implicated, written the charges up for the structure against the men and women involved? Can you actually prove the evidence involved? So you have to write up all the court incidents before you go to court. It doesn't mean the opposing attorneys get a chance to see it, because you can file and say, but you have to be able to prove it to the court so that way they can read it. And you've just put in, if they give it to the opposing offense attorneys, you put a $30 million bond on it. If they do that, they have to pay it. There is no question. They broke their own public servant oath, and that's covered under the Banking Act of the Washington, D.C. Bankruptcy Act. That goes back to 1867. Yeah,
So I file with this court in Washington, D.C. what I filed in the federal court in North Dakota?
You do, because, see, Judge Roberts still is running this stuff. At least he's doing it, and he knows why Judge Scalia was murdered.
What are the right steps to go about filing there that they'll say, oh, we're not your court or whatever? Because you got to go where you're from or whatnot.
No, you have to do that because you're filing on the judges, because Washington, D.C. has the authority over the courts and the judges that are running the courts. So if they don't comply with the Washington, D.C. structure of the British government that gives them the right of employment of the 1871 contract, where everybody keeps going, the 14th Amendment didn't give us rights and do this. The 14th Amendment gave lawful rights to bloodline and citizenship to the other. After the Civil War. Do you see where this is going or where I'm coming from?
I'm a little lost.
No, don't feel bad. You'll get it. I'll send you some information. I'll put some more stuff up on the court filings. But what I'm saying is Washington, D.C. court is supposed to be above all the administration and district courts of every state. The states don't have courts or jurisdictions at all, period.
Okay.
A city and county cannot have a court that says that they have jurisdiction, and that way they can pick out, people in the city to be on jury. They cannot do that. Only territories can do that.
If I turn in my paperwork then to this court in D.C., is it much like what I've done in the federal court?
Yes, it's the same thing, but you're asking for more for them to handle. I don't know your court case, and right now, I am quite overwhelmed right now with several things I'm trying to get done. Overwhelmed, to tell you the truth. And, and so this is why, anyhow, I'm just being overwhelmed. And I know Dave is, because we're getting things moving. We are getting the respect, and people are seeing the respect and changes across the land. But it comes down to, if you're not able to, I don't want to say able. I hate to do that, like where it comes across disrespectful in the point. But the positive words is reading, comprehending. And once you start reading and comprehending how the system works and applying it compared to what we get taught, because remember, as we were taught to grow up, the pen is mightier than the sword. Trust me, there was times I wish I would have learned how to use the pen and the sword. It hurt, been through those things.
Mm-hmm. So you would go and pay the filing fees required at this court?
No, because we have the paperwork that says you don't have to pay the filing fee.
Okay.
I'll try to get that on your Facebook wall here in a short minute. Here. Okay, see, when it comes down to the filing fee, this is what I post. This is what me and Dave have been posting on all over the internet, where people sometimes don't comprehend, and we post so much stuff up. Okay, and then people want to go back and forth and say, we didn't get this and we didn't get that. And it's like, I've seen people make comment on stuff. Then they come back and said, oh, well, I didn't understand what that meant. And it's like, well, why did you say good thumbs up on something when you didn't read it?
I guess my experience in the past and what I've been told by others similarly situated in this group here on the call tonight, is that if you don't pay the filing fee, that they are just that much more likely to just toss it out. And
keep listening to people in negativity. Okay, because see, that's the point. It was like all these guys, what pisses me off, oh, we'll walk you through how to pay your water electricity bill, but then we want to charge you $2,400 or $400, you know. And I get tired of all these men and women, because Dave and I have been doing this. I file my stuff. Now they're coming after me, you know, and I've been through this before with them, and I don't give a shit what the hell they're going to do. You know, go ahead and shoot me. The papers throughout the state knows it. They know what I filed. You know, you want to threaten me, okay, I'll put the paperwork in, but then I'm going to serve you where I'm coming after your home. You know, I mean, I'm doing this stuff. They pissed me off. Now I'm going to go after their bloodline. I don't care about their children. I want to make sure that their bloodline doesn't have a goddamn thing to have anything in their life. That's what they want. That's what they're going to get.
My argument stating that they have jurisdiction of this.
They don't have jurisdiction unless you give it to them.
Okay. So that's, I need help writing whatever I need to write to give it.
I'm
looking at
point. Okay, well, apparently, do you have me blocked where I can't put, oh, no, it just took a minute. Okay. Let me start putting some of this stuff on your wall. Okay? This is the things I've been trying to explain to people. This is like I went after people, and it's like people are saying different things about me and Dave, you know, because, you know, if you're going to use British terminology, all right, go deal with the Brits. You know, and if you look, the FBI agents and the marshals and all this, I mean, the IRS and the Congress admit taxes are voluntary. You don't have to pay the court fees. But it's knowing how to present the conflict of interest evidence and knowing what you're talking about to do it. Quit it, dog. You know, the point is knowing where you're standing, how you're standing, what you're standing for. You know, here's another one. You know, you keep it up, dog. You can go outside. I'll shut the door on you. I don't know what you're so excited for. Okay, here's another one. And here's the other point that I tell people. If you had an attorney involved in your case, why the hell ain't you filing on an attorney?
Yeah, I definitely need to.
They failed you. I'll post it up how to file.
Oh, I don't know if I saw that one.
There's stuff on your wall right now. I've been posting this stuff around, and it's like people sometimes just don't pay attention to it. You know, and that's why I was glad the one lady brings in the structure of her, you know, manufacturer state of Oregon on her covered wagon. See, it's knowing how to present it. It's like when Dave sat there, went through this, what's your emergency? It's knowing how, oh, I have the evidence to prove my covered wagon. People say, what the hell does that mean with the price of tea in China? Well, it's a covered wagon, and then when it sits there and says I have 134 horses underneath my hood, it's powered by 137 horses. Horsepower driven, that's what an engine is. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's the difference? See, that's how they put the stuff from their structure into administrative rules. So when they started putting all this stuff for commercial code and commerce, this is where people don't get it. Okay, so now they sat there and said from horsepower to, from horses to horsepower, and they changed it from a horse to a vehicle. And people go, okay, I just do what I'm told.
Yeah.
You know, and then they do that to their children. They raise their children, you know, oh, we're going to put them through this program, you know, scouts and stuff, instead of taking that child out in the woods themselves and learning the dirt and soil and how to educate them. They go through a group saying, well, we have to have all these groups powered and all this stuff. Well, your kids go through separation anxiety unless you got friends that are real friends that the kids are growing up with that they can basically trust with their life. You know, otherwise there's no point of them being in a group.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I didn't have a father growing up. I grew up around groups and stuff. And I remember some of the stuff I had more time better learning on my own than I did with some of the structures around me.
Mhm.
And now I'm going to put this up on your wall right now. And anybody's friends with her, You can hang on a minute. Let me find out what date I put this up. This is a rough template I did, but I've got majority of them that I'm doing for each and every state on the clerk's filing. So once you start comprehending that you can file on the clerk when they don't do their job, you file this with their funding structure. All right. Remember, they're getting paid by what they call the tax dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're getting paid by the tax dollar and not honoring their oath as a public servant, then they're not entitled to employment. Simple. We are not a democracy. If you want the republic, prove you have a republic. You want a democracy, get the hell out of my country. You know, that's the way I look at it.
Who do I file these with, hon?
When you start reading the structure, like I said, with the clerk, and you'll file it with the federal clerk in Washington, D.C., you got to start reading it. Once you start comprehending what the words mean, because until you know what it means, you can't file a damn thing unless you have a comprehension of it. You know, it's like you can sit there and go, well, here's the 10th, I just sign it and I get rid of it, and I'm you know, it's a golden ticket. As some people have said with other things that cost them a lot. Right. There's no golden ticket. You have to read it and comprehend it. You have to put it together, because if you don't put it together to protect your bloodline, so you could even educate your child to comprehend this, and what disturbs me with people, children who are, I know children who are 9 years old comprehend some of this stuff better than most adults do.
Mm.
You know, but it's the way that they want to think. They're opening their minds. They're not trying to argue their minds. They'll just open it up, and all of a sudden the light will hit them.
Yeah.
You know, and then here's another one I'll put up with the motor vehicle. See, 1933. These are laws that they wrote them. We quote them. You know.
Well, due to a mistake in North Dakota and their ignorance, vehicle has not been licensed for over a year.
Wait a minute.
All.
Who says you have to license something?
Well, I know, and they all say these laws that they have to, and I've done just a little bit of, research.
Yeah, but see, you haven't filed on the administrative rules. Like, see, Dave filed his structure through dozens of states.
Wow.
Okay?
And
it helps. I filed my stuff with the Secretary of State and stuff. Dave and I's filing that we did with Judge Scalia when he was murdered was filed with the Oregon State Secretary of State, Kate Brown.
Yeah.
See, we file this stuff. We're not just talking about the stuff we do. We file. So they are filed in Ohio. They're filed in Washington, D.C. by mail or fax. And they're most of everything that me and Dave have filed, except for one instrument, is registered with the Oregon State House and Senate through the Secretary of State as filed.
Well, I understand it's been over a year and I've not had any kind of plates or anything on that vehicle. Where I live locally here now.
Right, but see, you need to file your rights on it and claim ownership on it.
Okay. Locally, the sheriff is giving me a bad time.
That's right. You haven't proved that you own it.
Well, okay. I guess
Great.
I need
to put on your wall. You own it. Go ahead, Dave.
What I did on my expired license plate was I put right to travel across it in 3-inch letters. You can buy them at Walmart. They're just stickies.
Sure.
On the plate.
And I've seen those, people do those plates and stuff, and then people get in trouble for them, get arrested for having.
Dave said.
Even if you don't use a plate, put on where your license plate would normally go, right to travel.
Mm-hmm. Knowing how to talk.
Well, I've seen different variations of that.
Yes, I know. We've seen a lot of different variations on the internet ourselves too.
Yeah,
but
people got.
I know a lot of public servants. It's like I know right now. I know some of the women are getting their children back because they're paying attention. They finally stopped arguing about what their mind tells them, They're starting to realize how to use the system. They wrote it, we quote it.
Okay. Well,
So instead of fighting your mind over it, is learning how to step forward to control it. It's you controlling the system, you realizing what the court works like. And once you start comprehending that, you're going to be pissing off that guy that's going to freak out, because you're going to, if you do it right, you get to the point where all of a sudden your name is mentioned, he won't even come around you.
Well, that's what they've done to me.
Hale versus Hinkle.
Yeah.
I can't hear him very well at all.
That ruling.
So I can't hear him. What did he say?
You need to get the court case, Hale versus Hinkle. You have the right to conduct your own business without government interference. If they interfere with you, it's a violation of your civil rights. You can sue the pot out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to. I just need to know these steps to do. And as far as getting my daughter back, how I do this, I don't know.
First, you have to claim your rights. Once you can claim and own you, then that way you can claim and own your bloodline. If you don't own you, who do you own? What are your rights? What is your comprehension? What is your bloodline to this soil? See, this is where everybody's going, well, Ed, you talk about the bloodline. If your bloodline goes back to the Civil War by the structure, this is where the natives had the treaties and agreed to it, so we weren't killing each other. All right? Then the white man, and basically it wasn't the white man as we get lied to, or the black man and all this other crap. Basically it was the merchants that came in and gave the poison blankets, and that was done by the people who brought the Bible, called, nuns and reverends and all these people, and including the Mormons and all that, brought all that crap in, and he gave the Indians and natives a Bible and says, as they're dying, pray for me that I'm killing you, basically is what they're telling them. It's getting those things out of this country and start knowing our food resources, knowing our bloodline. This is how we're going to save it.
Well, and mine ran into a dead end. The one person I was going to ask for help passed away here lately. So,
but see, you passed away. What does the death certificate say? What is the family connection? Have you ever read a death certificate where they put different kin's name on a different death certificate?
I've not. As my grandmother.
How do you think investigators do this? How do you think DAs go, I need a death certificate? Then they start putting family names and going back and sit there, take the time, walk through it. Sometimes it takes the time, but you can put pieces together.
Yeah.
Those things are not hard to do. It's just keeping an open mind.
Right. It's. I was hoping to been able to gain some insight and help there, and she passed away. So that kind of put a dead end to what I was doing. And
right.
I haven't.
See, that's the point, that keeping that open, because maybe somebody else might see something when they're traveling and they'll get it to you. Now, I'll get a couple more things posted on your wall, but also, too, I don't want to get you overloaded, but I want you to start reading what it says, and then that way you can start talking about what it says, not only with me, but others, and you start doing this, and so this way you learn how to get your daughter back, and this way you know how to put the paperwork together so you can defend, compared to this couple conversations we had about the circumstances, the way the circumstances happened. Would that be fair thought to say?
Well, yeah, I know why some of it happened, and it doesn't. Just the corruption and the funding, the federal funding. And
but also, you didn't know how to bring up the words and fight the system.
Yeah.
See, this is where I was talking to people earlier. Women say they want rights. Well, if you get pregnant, it's your body. I can't tell you if you're going to have an abortion or not, because if I tell you to have an abortion, what are you going to do? Tell me. Are you going to denut me because I sat there and looked at a girl that walked across the street? It's like, come on, folks, we got to be real. It's your body, your rights, and if I want equal rights, I have to respect your equal rights. Interesting concept, but it's real. Women want rights. They have the right to rights, but they have to honor the man's right too. It's not the Bible.
Ed,
Go ahead.
it is currently 15 past the hour. We have 45 minutes left of the show.
Okay.
So should we do Q&A or do the last part of the show and let you guys just talk things out?
I'll let Dave put that. I'll let if people got further questions, we can do further questions too. So Dave, I'm passing it to you.
While you've been talking, I've been trying to find that court case where the Supreme Court said we don't have to pay filing fees and all that, and I haven't found it yet.
Oh, where filing fees are not mandatory?
Yeah. Anyway, does the lady that we are currently talking with have any paperwork? Because I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit shy of this case because it's new to me, and I don't know exactly what steps you have already done, even though you've tried to explain that. For me, I'm one of those guys. It's a hands-on deal. I got to look at it before I shoot my mouth off. So if you can communicate with Ed on your case and get him the information, then I'll get it from him.
Okay.
But other than that, do you have any further questions you have on your case?
I just, I go from here. So.
There is a couple of things I'd like to point out to you. Number one, the judge is not the court.
Right.
He is supposed to remain neutral throughout the entire proceeding.
Mm-hmm.
The prosecutor is a hearsay witness. In other words, he's got his information second-handed. You're not allowed to put hearsay evidence into court. So if whatever the prosecutor has put in there against you, he has committed fraud against you.
Right.
All these courts are running a bond, commodities, and CUSIP fraud scheme against everybody who enters their court. They're all corporate courts, unconstitutional courts.
Right.
Just a couple of things so that you're aware of where and how you're being swindled out of your child.
No,
I know.
Online, aren't you?
Yeah, basically, what you can do is file a criminal charge against the prosecutor in your case for kidnapping, holding for ransom.
Personal financial gain.
That's right. So those are the best advice I can give you right now as to what to do on criminal charges. But getting your case into court, one thing we tell people they have to do is they have to write their own case, because if they can't write it and they don't understand it, when they get into court, they are going to tear you limb to limb. Once they realize you don't know what you're talking about, you are had, period.
The judge, Reich, he will not let me file. His clerks won't.
No, you're not hearing us. It's the way you're presenting the case.
Mm-hmm.
Read your wall, what I just put on your wall.
Well, we will help you, okay? So just be patient with us a little bit. We'll get with you. Can we get with her tomorrow, Ed?
I didn't hear that last part.
Say, can we get with her tomorrow?
I don't have an issue with that if she's got time.
I'd be available in the later afternoon.
8 o'clock in the morning after, but I'll be, you're 3 hours behind me, so I'll be home before you even wake up, probably.
Well, I'm going to get some sleep tomorrow because, like I said, I only got 2 hours sleep before the marshals called me at 6:30 this morning. So I thought it was interesting, it's like, and after I got done with the conversation, it's like, what are you going to swear me in? I would like to get my badge back.
Yeah, I can go make arrests.
Yeah. That's why I can't say something I'm not.
Correct.
I would be available tomorrow in the afternoon. I've committed to helping out in a community function.
Okay.
They need some extra hands.
What time?
So anytime after like 3 o'clock Mountain Time, I can be free.
Okay, so Mountain Time right now, you're at 7:20. I'm in Oregon Territory, so you're at 9:20, right?
I'm at 8:15.
Oh, okay. You're
I'm
only
an hour
ahead of us.
You're 2 hours behind me.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what, when you get free, give that a call.
Okay. And can you message me your good number for you again so that I make sure I have it?
Oh, it's the same one that you had before. I'll send it to you a message.
Okay, great. Thank
but
you.
the one thing, too, is make sure it's after 10. Okay, because I like to go to sleep because, I mean, I have severe medical, spine injuries and stuff like this, and it's like, with pain, sometimes I don't get to sleep right away.
Right. No, I understand. Like I said, after 3 o'clock...
And one thing, Angie, I want to start working with you on one major word.
Okay.
Either you comprehend or you never were to use the word understand because you keep using that word. You're giving them authority to take your rights over. And I've mentioned that to you, how they did that to you in court a couple times in the past.
Okay.
You see, it's learning how to present your words to have the strength so this way you're not giving up your rights. You're controlling your servants. Because remember, these men and women are servants.
Right.
And so if we want our courts back and we start doing our servants, I've dealt with the courts where I've had honorable men and women in the courts, even what I've dealt with here. And either other structure. And there's dishonorable. But when you start getting the honorable, you're just thankful. You go on with your day. They do their job and nobody talks. Remember, those things are never social hours. So, just past you. Now, if you see what I just put up in your wall with the courts, that way they can't charge you court fees and stuff. See, they wrote it, we quote it.
Court fees.
I like that one. That's a good one. So we got to put a patent on that in Born Day. Publicly, my computer just crashed when I said that one. All right. We'll patent on them.
Crap. Okay. Davidlee mentioned criminal charges against the prosecutor, the opposing attorney for kidnapping. I could barely hear him. He mentioned something about kidnapping.
Held for ransom.
I'm sorry, what was the ransom?
Yep.
No, I only caught part of that, hon.
Yeah,
held
guilty of identity theft too, but I'd have to see your paperwork.
Yeah, no, she can get identity theft because she is technically the owner of the child, even though that she under duress signed agreement to the state. And I do have those administrative rules and laws where the Supreme Court says that if you know that you didn't know you signed under duress, and then now you're claiming your rights back, you have authority, so you have to file your authority to claim it.
Okay, gotcha. Makes sense.
And this is where everybody keeps going, well, you can't do this, and if you don't sit there and, do this and that for your birth certificate, it's like all these people say, we could make sure that you don't have to pay your water, food bills, and all this stuff, and I've seen some of it work, but I want to get a little bit more before I put my basic structure of my own assets online for something like that, because I want to be 100% factual and true, if that makes sense. I don't want to sit there and put myself in liability like other people have done. I'm working on some templates right now on rights to travel and stuff. I've already filed mine, and after I was doing mine and people were doing theirs, then they told me this is 4 years ago, then they told me if I do this, that, and the other thing, they're going to just basically murder me in the street. Because people are paying attention. Me and Dave have opened up a lot of stuff in the last couple of years.
So who would we file the claim of our claiming
Michelle has
herself.
too. But the other point is Michelle has done a wonderful job too. Cannot forget her.
Right.
So the one thing on your filing is that I put up on your wall with Washington D.C. and D.C., Washington D.C. and what the hell they call that territory over there, Maryland. So you're filing that. They have complaint forms on there, and then when it says complaint, you put criminal, all right, evidence / then complaint. You're making a criminal. You're making an affidavit of a criminal complaint, a criminal crime, and they like so you're not consenting to their complaint form. You're consenting to your criminal action that you're filing.
Okay.
And I know it seems overwhelming too at sometimes on some of this stuff. All right, but like the stuff I posted up on your wall, when you start reading this stuff, I mean, basically, I know 5 years old have read this stuff and they comprehend it. It's knowing the difference of right and wrong. If you run down the street on a bicycle and you wipe out another guy on the bike or another girl on the bike, and they break their hand and stuff, and that was part of your responsibility that happened because you couldn't swerve at the time and you didn't pay attention until you ran them over. They didn't judge them, and it's an equal thing, so you have to take equal responsibility. Like I said, me and Dave are not attorneys. We're not lawyers. We're not public servants in that manner, but we just read it and quote it. They wrote it, we quote it.
Mhm.
So you see what I'm talking about on your Facebook page, what I posted up there?
Yeah, I do see those posts. I'm saving them so that I can review.
Right. All right. Now you see the ones with the courts, and we'll get the other stuff up there. So when you're writing your affidavit of factual evidence, because remember, an affidavit is a factual evidence of tool, and so you're making sure. Let's say if you're claiming your birth certificate right to that child when it's being born, not birth. So you're writing born, and then I so-and-so and the other party, the woman, we are taking lawful, what is that called? Claim on our birthright called our bloodline. So you're writing, go ahead.
I know Dave was looking for the case of cannot be charged a fee as no charge can be placed upon a citizen as is that what you were looking for, Dave?
You posted. Dave, did you find that yet?
No, I haven't.
Fort Smith Gas Company versus Wiseman, 189 Arkansas, 670. Huh?
Doesn't sound right.
No, he's telling you another one, Dave. Write it down and see what pops up on that one. We can get that on the Facebook sites right now. He's bringing up another case on it.
Well, there is. Well, there's two of them that's here on the New Oregon Trackers website. Hale versus Hinkle 201 US 43 NAACP versus Button 371 US 415 United Mine Works versus Gibbs 383 US 715 and Johnson versus Avery 89 South Court 747 1969.
Yes, he found it on the website.
Okay.
Basically, or Crandall versus Nevada. Basically, what it says is plaintiff libellant should not be charged fees or costs for the lawful and constitutional right to petition this court in this manner in which she is entitled to relief, as it appears that the filing fee rule was originally implemented for fictitious and subjects of the state and should not be applied to the plaintiff, who is a natural individual and entitled to relief. Is that about what you were looking for?
Because she's claiming that she's natural, she's not of what they would call foreign nobility.
Dave?
Yeah.
That is what you were looking for. Okay, if you go
the same wording
to
is the one I'm looking for.
well, if you go to neworgantrackers.com and click on Your Rights, it is approximately, and I got to get back down to it, approximately 2/3 down the page. There's a lot of information that is put on this website, so yeah, you're going to have to look through it, but guess what? You might find extra information that could help you.
Well, not only that, Dave, we got to pay attention to the site, seeing that we're creating it.
That's true.
Did you get the confirmation on this one now? I sure got the butt kicked, and it hurt. But Andy, now you're starting to see what we're putting up there and what this gentleman brought out?
Yes, I was wondering which website he was finding this information on.
New.organtrackers.com.
Oh, okay. I've not gone there. New Organ Trackers.
Right. I'll go ahead and put it on your site right as soon as my computer boots back up here. I'll put it on your site with the other information that the letter I put together dealing with taxes and everything.
Okay.
Because, see, when you know your rights, now, see, it's like, I've talked to people and they say, well, if you don't pay taxes, you're going to jail. And it's like, can you prove this? Can you prove that? It doesn't matter, just what the law says. And it's like, they don't comprehend that the law that they're believing in is called Roman Catholic or Sharia law or Baptist Bible, whatever you want, Roman Catholic. The law of the land is the Constitution, says no injured party, no harm. There ain't no Bible that says that part when it comes down to it. Because everybody who harms somebody, oh, I gotta go pray to the Bible and I get forgiven for what I did instead of them making amends. Or they could pay for it, and that's wrong too. So, but yeah, I'll have that up on your website here shortly, and you can see what I put up with a couple of the cases on your site now.
Okay, let me go and check here.
Well, I want you to check on the filing fees and stuff too.
Yes, and I've argued those things before. You need to know how to
quote this stuff and comprehend it.
I've argued those things before, and they ignored me.
But see, how did you argue them?
I put it all together, followed someone else's template of how, and gave all that. And
you didn't file it right, and you filed it with them. You didn't take it to another court. You didn't file jurisdiction clauses on them. You let them make the decision, and you're not supposed to file it with the devil. That's like going to the Pope and asking for forgiveness for raping children when the Pope says, hey, rape all the children you want. He just came out and say that in the media. And trust me, I filed on that son of a dog's soul.
Well, where do we file it then? Okay, having the comprehension.
In D.C., the Superior Court, making it public.
Okay.
Okay, because see, Dave and I, and there's other people beside ourselves. It's not just about me and Dave doing this. There's about, a couple other dozen men and women out there who have been filing similar things that me and Dave have done. We've gone back and forth reading each other's information. There's some of those that we've endorsed some of the other people. Okay, so when you read something, you can always endorse it. It's like all these people say, oh, send us money so this way we can get somebody out of jail. And excuse me, how come you're not writing an affidavit that says, we don't believe why you got this man or woman in jail. We want to see your books on it. They start getting that, and that gets out, then people start panicking. It's like, it's like when I'm dealing right now. They want to rape me for taxes again. I've never filed. Okay? And then it's like, and I've been through this before, and I got to fill out the paper, and I'll have that one written up and filed, and I'll have a template that out there for other states too when I do it.
Okay, I got that case. I finally found.
Go ahead, Dave. Now, you're friends with her on Facebook, aren't you?
I don't know.
I think on my one page. I'm not sure on my other. I'd have to
okay,
check.
I can't. I'm not online until my computer goes on. If you guys are connected, send it to him. So this is what I'm saying to you. Andy, it's like, we I've dealt with this for several people. You and I have talked about it before in the past a couple of times. And so when you don't
email
in the lamplight, go ahead, Dave.
Send me an email, David, or excuse me, 72. My last name Buess, and then my first initial is D. My middle initial is L at gmail.com.
Okay. I just said hello on your page.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's Hale versus Hale, 201 US 43.
So, are you online, Dave?
Not right now, no.
Okay. Because when you go on and you see the hide message, that's from her, so that way you know.
Yeah, it shows a young colt horse laying down.
Okay, let
That's
me get
me.
online here.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'll tell you right now. I do miss writing.
Well, I've got plenty here that need it.
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead, May.
35 after 7.
Yeah, we'll be bottling it up here in a minute. Or a couple minutes, I should say. So we got that one. We got this connected. Before we end basically end this evening, before me and Dave get our last words in, does anybody have any other comments or thoughts that they would like to speak up on, or have a question, or what could be sent to them, or thoughts to them? So if you have that, please speak up.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The affidavit where we claim our birth certificate, or claim us.
Right.
Who do we file that with? The Secretary of State?
Yes. Are you on my friends list?
Yes.
Okay, do me a favor, because what I'll send you is the one that me and Dave filed on our birth certificate bond that we did with the, what was that? The Coroner's, Secretary of State, the Coroner's request, and the birth certificate bond in the National Treasury.
County Coroner.
So what I'll do is you send me that and that. I will make sure you have the full one that Dave and I filed on our birth certificate bond, where we asked them to prove if we were dead or alive.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, no, we went right off the structure. We filed it with the coroners, the sheriff's department, the coroners, the forensics office with the at least I did, and he did with Ohio, but I did with Oregon State Police Department forensics, House, Senate, and the governor. We filed it with, because we wanted to know on the birth certificate, because we know how they kill it. Because in the state of Oregon, when you go for your traveler's license, or what they call a driver's license, if you don't turn your birth certificate in, you're not allowed to get a driver's license now, because they want your birth certificate so they can close it out. Then you have to go get a reissue of it. So whatever they did on the bond of this one, they close out. Then they start you a new bond. And they don't tell you what that value is, what they're trying to do for the new so-called corruption they're doing in the state. Like, they're trying to pass some structure for new raceways up here for the people to pay for. And it's like, we're tired of buying basketball hoops and, we're tired of buying race car tracks and all this stuff, because, the people ain't getting a damn thing out of it. And then when you go to the races or football game, you're spending at least $100 to go to this stuff you already paid in your taxes.
Exactly.
So, yeah, send me that. We'll get you that information. That's not a problem. Because,
okay,
like
great.
I said, it's by proper education. And the one thing I definitely want to thank the other young lady that brought up dealing with a manufacturer state of origin.
That's me.
Hello, go ahead.
That was me.
All right.
Yeah, I just sent it to you on Instant Messenger.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Karen.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Karen Ramirez.
Okay. So, but that's what I'm saying is, see, working together, bringing this stuff out so the evidence comes out, and we're working together on these issues, and this is the point. I went off on people yesterday, and I get tired of these people out there that are going out for handouts instead of working with one another, because we work with one another. My God, could you imagine what that would change for the children?
It would change everything.
So what
That's
does
right.
it
And they grow food, and they know what food's about, and they know what the earth is about, and they know that they're not starving. Little things, instead of making everything a commercial product. So, but anyhow, I'm going to basically say my piece. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this evening. And we appreciate it. And like I said, all this is about proper education. Sometimes we might get frustrated with each other, and I know people get frustrated, especially with my religious belief, the way I look at things compared to others do. But that's the one thing, is that if you want your rights respected, you better respect the next man and woman. And I can say, even though I do have conflicts with some of the structure with the Confederacy, but I am glad to see that they're not going to be destroying any more landmarks and that stuff, because those things need to be taught with real facts and history that would happen compared to some of the wrong history we've had taught to us, so we can get this stuff worked out so we know real history to teach our children, instead of this democracy and Republican bullshit back and forth, where I need to fund my prison cell and my Senate and House areas, and I need this casino to work for me in this area, and I need the cops to rape, rob, and pillage to get my income off these road pirates. Because some of the states are actually coming up with credit card machines when you drive down the highway, and if you don't give that man that credit card machine, you're going to jail. If you don't give him your credit card for a minimum of $160 for a travel fee, going down the highways in some states now. It's happening. We are living this. But you have to file your rights with the state. And if you don't file your rights and to claim your rights, it's not filed. You can't sit there and yell at a man, woman, or child saying that, I have rights. You have to have something, because the pen is mightier than the sword. So with that, may the Great Spirit travel with you, Mother Earth cover you, and we start working with each other, so we start being responsible to save the bloodline. I don't have bloodline to worry about, but you guys do. Dave, it's yours.
Thank you, Ed. Well, it's been another interesting evening. I hope, above all, that you learned something tonight, and share it. Please share it. The website is here, the Oregon Revolution and News and Information websites, New Oregon Trackers, Civil War, 1866, Lawful Bloodline American, Davidlee Space Buess, Tax Fraud in America. They're all here for your use. So please take advantage of the information that's there. And above all, if you have any questions after looking at our sites, give us a call on Monday nights. That's what we're here for. So with that, Ed, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody, and it's good to be back, even though I hated to get off the road because I love to travel. So anyway, next time, same bat channel.
Go ahead. Somebody was trying to say something? Okay. So anyhow, with that, we'll call it an evening, and may you all have a blissful evening.
All right, good night.
Good night, all.
Good night.
You have been listening to the disclaimers by Davidlee Buess and Edward Johnston. It is now currently 7:43 over on the West Coast, and it is June 12th, 2017. Thank you for watching and listening.
This session is no longer being recorded.
And thank
There
you.
we go. I tried to keep things going smooth.
No, we had it going. I was good tonight. That was good. And information was getting out. We had people that were actually bringing stuff out. Is Angie still with us, or did she hang up?
I think she hung up. She thought you guys were all going to disappear after this.
Okay, well, have her on with us. Is it just me and you then?
No, I'm here.
Well, we've got a wireless caller. We got Gerald Buess. That's Dave's.
I'm here.
Yep.
Okay.
And we got David Bristler.
Okay.
We got a few people still here. We've got two of me because I'm that important.
Oh, okay. Yeah, two of you, because we won't go there. The one thing I've enjoyed in life is called skeet shooting, and we did
awesome.
golf balls. Try skeet sometime.
I've done that.
Oh, so that's Gerald, I take it then?
Yep, you got it.
Oh, yeah, isn't that a challenge?
No, I haven't shot a gun for a good Lord. A good long while.
Well, I mean, like I said, I've actually gone out where we've done actual skeet shooting, taking 12-gauge shotguns and 20-gauge shotguns with bird shots, shooting golf balls, and you couldn't take your next structure until you shot the golf ball.
Oh, good Lord. I've never done that.
And you got to remember, those golf balls are at a pretty good rate, too, when they get smacked.
I imagine they do.
Oh, yeah. My brother was heavy into golf, and he used to collect them at the golf course all the time. So me and my other brother decided we were going to do skeet golf with his brand-new golf balls that he picked out of the moat at the golf course.
Hey, did you see that we have a Muslim as a U.S. Senator?
Yes, I heard that.
How in the hell is that possible?
Well, not only that, they've got an inside structure in Idaho that is a Muslim advisor to the House and Senate of Idaho.
Also, if you look at it, the FBI, it was a little thing that I saw real quick. The FBI raided a Muslim compound and found a 30-year plan.
Yes.
In Dearborn, Michigan. What? Dearborn was Hillary Clinton's. Oh, that was Hillary Clinton's. My wife knows more about it, but basically, it was near New York. Basically, there's a 30-year plan of integrating the Muslim Brotherhood into America, and
Sure.
they're on step 3 now, basically making it to where, we need to be kind to the Muslims because they're just like us. And then at stage 4, basically, they cause extreme terror and cause us to basically lose complete stability.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what they're, we're nailing this. They're nailing this.
It's already happening. They're on the last, I think, 5 years of the plan.
They're doing it through the House and Senate because this is the structure that I've been witnessing when I was up at the House and Senate, on all these liberal. Now, we have a governor in the state of Oregon that's a married a lesbian to a man.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so they're both open